Hi everyone, I'm Kat.
There we go.
This video we're going to be doing some spins and turns. We're going to be mainly concentrating on slow to medium tempo music because once we get into fast music, we're going to have to change up our footwork a little bit as well as do some technique work with our arms that are just a little bit different.
Right.
So the first thing that we need to learn is how to go from a closed hand hold to an open hand hold in order to do a lot of these turns.
What we're going to do is essentially the most easiest way to do it to not confuse anybody is the leader's job. The leader is literally just going to walk backwards. So as we're doing our side, side, tap, and side, side, tap. As soon as I finish that tap, instead of going side, side, tap, I'm actually going to go back, back. So I'm going to keep her there. I'm going to release my hand, my frame on the back of her body. I release that and I go back, back, tap. So as you saw, I didn't drop my arms. I kept them under her as I was walking backwards. So as I then started to decide to move back, I raised my arms to keep that connection, and then I do that double cupping action to create the connection.
We can show it from the other side too.
Sure. So we go yeah, tap and yeah, da, tap and back, back, tap. Pretty simple. Really easy to just create that distance where we can now do some bigger turns.
Yeah, and for the ladies, we're just staying in one spot. He's actually letting go of us, and so we don't want to follow him. He's opening his hand, and we're just standing in one spot and following our arms down so that we can reconnect at this other handhold.
Yep. So that's it. That's a stationary movement release to an open frame or bigger connection, open connection. So if we're rotating? Rotating is the same thing. Rotating is, let's say we're doing our basic, we're doing a little bit of rotation that we talked about in the last video, so some slight rotation. And what happens if we want to open after that? What we're going to do is similar. We start with stepping to the side, but instead of returning, I'm going to step backwards and then tap.
And so now how do you get back into a closed frame? So we've opened up into a frame. We can do our basics here. And how does the gentleman lead the lady back into closed frame?
Easiest way is literally, I'm going to pick up this hand a little bit and just walk in. That. And so I can do this run right after another. Let's say I don't know, want to just practice the basics. I can go back, back, tap, and forward, forward, tap, back, back, tap, forward, forward. I never drop my arms, and also a little bit, let's say if you see with this arm, let's pretend this is not here right now. What I'm doing is from this close connection, I'm pushing away a little bit, tap, and now I'm kind of pulling her in, or I'm pulling myself forward to her, and I pull myself in. Tap, I push her away a little bit, tap, and I pull her in a little bit. So you can see how this connection changes, how we practiced before. It's similar how we practice in changing our frame and our handhold. It's just happening in spot. Yeah, da.
So the first turn that we're going to talk about is to the lady's right. There are two steps to this turn, or two parts to this turn, and we'll show you why that is. But let's say we're in
our open frame.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So let's talk about arm work first. So let's not worry about feet. We're just going to figure out what the arms are doing.
Right. So when you practice this, don't practice even timing or footwork. Just practice where your arms are going. Every turn we do from now on, practice arms first, and then you can fill in the basic once you feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, exactly. So what's going to happen is the leader is going to drop this hand. He's going to then ask the lady to take a step to the side, and he's going to lift his hand up. Our hands are going to rotate. He's going to open up his palm, and I'm going to open up my palm. I'm going to step and tap. And then what happens is we're in this really funky handhold. So the easiest way to resolve that is for him to ask me to go back to where I came from. So I'm going to go step, step, tap.
So, well, just as a note for the leaders, that when we're going up, we're encouraging her still, as we're moving in our basic, we're encouraging her to move to our side, a little bit that way. So I'm leading her movement that way as I turn my hand, which then gives her direction, rotation. I just allow my hand to go up, she keeps it above her head, and we bring the hand back down to our waist height. And then we bring it back up, complete opposite direction. She rotates as she moves through it to back to the same handhold we were in before.
Ladies, one thing to note when you are turning, especially if you're going to be dancing with any height gentlemen, whether they're down there or up here, the one thing to remember when you're turning is that if you have your hand over the top of your head, it will work. So let's say he is trying to turn me. As if I am able to clear my head with my hand on like a flat tray, I will be able to make it. What a lot of ladies do is they don't clear their heads. They try to either put it on the side of their head, and so they will get hit.
Right. So just you allow yourself, you create your own space.
Right.
And the guy should not be like trying to reach over and throw himself onto you.
Right. And the other thing about turning is that we try not to put our elbows up so we don't turn like this and turn like this. It's just a really comfortable, your arm is very relaxed and all you're doing is you're clearing your head.
Right. So we're going to talk about going basic step. And now as soon as the leader starts finishing that tap, as soon as the leader finishes the tap, he starts raising that hand. Because that lead needs to be thought of beforehand, but also initiated. So as soon as she starts moving to the side, she knows that there's some rotation happening. So as I start the basic, you'll see ya, da, tap, and. So as soon as I finished that tap, almost at the end of the tap, I started moving my hand. So that way, before we even hit the first beat, she's already feeling the movement and rotation.
Yeah, and for the ladies, what we feel is we're usually asked to go to the side, right? And now we're being asked to go to the side, but go to the side a little bit bigger because he's lifting up his hand a little bit higher, and so we have the signal that he wants us to turn. So a regular side step is just down here, and then this asks me to turn, and then this asks me to turn back.
Right.
In terms of my footwork, I'm keeping the same beat as side tap, but what I'm doing is on the first step, I'm going forward as if I'm going through this window, and then what I'm doing is I'm stepping kind of across myself and turning to face him, not completely, but just so that I can see him, and I'm able to do my tap, and then I'm going forward. On the second step, I'm facing him, and then I'm resolving into my tap. So on step 2, I want to be able to see him for each side. So I'm going 1, 2, kind of peripheral vision, tap, 1, 2, tap.
Part 2 would be similar rotation. We're going to go into the same turn, essentially, except for leaders, you're going to do a movement in the same direction with the opposite hand. So instead of my left hand, I'm now going to use my right hand. I'm going to do the same action to invite her to the same side. I'm going to step, as I step to the side, I'm deciding that I'm going to raise this right hand. So we go basic, side, side, tap. As I finish the tap, I raise my right hand over, and now she's going to finish the turn. She will allow the turn to finish. We finish that tap. And now here, our handhold is good. We can just say, all right, that's it.
Yeah.
Let's do a basic. Ya, da, tap, and ya, da. And we just regain our connection. So with this one, we don't need the return, but we could. So let's say we want to do the return. As I finish this tap, I initiate the movement with the opposite hand, and I return her back. So now we do have to do some handhold rotations sometimes. We might just have to fix the ending. But in the end, whenever you want to reset if something doesn't feel right, you want to just get back to this handhold. The leaders cupping against themselves this way, and the followers, the little bunny rabbit, settling into that connection as we kind of have that suspension between us. So again, we're going to do the two basics right now, the two different intro turns to the lady's right. We're going to go ya, da, da, with our left hand, leader's left hand return, leader's right hand return. And with the right hand, we're going to have to fix it afterwards. So that's something you just kind of get used to when a hand has to be fixed. And that's why when I do the left hand, it's weird. I have to return it. When I do the right hand, it's not weird. So I'm just going to do a basic.
Mm-hmm. And ladies, we're doing the exact same steps that we did before. Our footwork and our nothing else really changes. The only change is that we feel that he's asking us because our arms are connected to our body. So it's a natural turning motion. Turn, turn, step, turn, turn, tap. Right, exactly. So for us, it doesn't make a difference whether it's this hand or this hand.
Right. It's pretty much the only focus is making sure that the leaders gets their hands up. So be it left or right, I'm raising it to their upper level. I'm not pushing it over her. I am bringing it up to her head height, and she brings it over. So that way, no one's pushing into the head.
Yeah, and for example, there might be some common mistakes is that if we're doing a basic, the guy will just go.
Yes, yeah.
There's no invitation. It's just, oh, okay. This is stylistically. He's asking me to put up my arm.
Well, that's true. Yeah, if you don't initiate a side and forward, to the camera to my left and forward, that's going to initiate rotation. If I do it poorly, I could just be like, turn. What is she going to do with that? She can't cross into her arm. So I need to make sure that the hand direction where her arm is in the rotation is over her. Yeah. Da. Now it comes between us. Now it goes over her again. Yeah. Da. Right back. Third turn. So now we're going to change things up. So we've done rotation to the right twice for the lady. We're now going to go rotation to the opposite side. So now, as we started in the beginning, we dropped our right hand. We're going to drop our right hand again because we're going to turn with our left hand, the leader's left. So as we do our basic, the intention is that I'm going to raise my left as I'm rotating slightly past her. She steps through it. We return to our right, wherever that is. Let's say 45 degrees, 90 degrees. Yeah. Boom. So now she's passing to my right and then going to rotate to her opposite side, which is her left.
I don't know my right from left.
So, as we do that basic again, I'm going to cross my hand. Let's even not even the basic. I'm just handhold wise. I go from here, I cross my hand across my body.
So he kind of rolls his hand. He opens it up, so I open up mine. He rolls it, and I just keep contact with his hand.
Yep. And so now I am rolling it up and across my body, and then going to essentially initiate her passing by me, and then I bring it down to keep that connection.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's going to be not even worrying about the feet. I bring it across the body. She follows her hand and moves through the position here. I step past her, and now the big part for the guys is I keep focus of where she is, and I am now connected to her wherever she is. Again, ya, da, and ya.
Right. So we talked about in the other turns that the initiation comes on the first step. as the first step is happening. And then on the second step, we ladies want to make sure that we have the guy in our sight somewhere. Doesn't have to be full straight on, but it has to be, we have to, it's called spotting. We have to look for our guy. So if this is 1, I'm taking this step. On 2, this is a much bigger pivot for the ladies. I have to find him, so I have to turn around and spot him. So 2 is finding our guy, and we're not really moving our feet all, we're moving our feet to the side, and then tap. So a little bit faster because it's easier. So we go 1, 2, tap. 1, 2, tap. 1, 2, tap.
Right. And so now if you notice, we are, our first step, we're crossing body, so the lead is stepping side and to the left.
And the lady has basically her back to to him.
And now we're both, as we rotate through this, we step backwards away from each other to give a little bit of space.
Or to the side.
Or to the side, depending upon how far you are already. And then tap. Boom. That last variation we want to show you is kind of a add-on to what we've already shown you. So we've shown you, now we're going to hold on to that second hand. So we're going to create the same initiating momentum, which means the same left hand is going to be leading her past. But if you notice, this hand is not let go. I'm actually going to, forgive me, I'm going to just leave that hand there.
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap it around her body. She's going to let it go. I trace my hand along her back, keeping aware of where it is, onto her arm, and catching.
Yeah. This is a belly roll, or what I like to call a jelly roll.
Waist roll, belly roll, jelly roll, whatever you want to call it. So we have that momentum where she is aware of where my right hand is at all times. It doesn't disappear. So that way, this allows us to do many moves in the future to keep her aware of where that hand is.
Yes. So, gentlemen, you don't have to try to catch your lady's jelly when we do this. It's a very light movement across her waist. Just kind of so that she knows where your hand is, so that she can place her arm and her hand back into your palm.
Right.
So when I'm going into this, it's when I start moving, it's kind of like I'm going into my own hand, and then I release it, he releases it, I turn, and then I find his arm again. So it's 1, 2, and on 2 we've reestablished our hold, and then the tap. So this is gonna be the turns that we showed you to slower music.
Find the beat first. Practice opening up. Closing. Rotational. Rotational opening. Alright, now let's keep it open. Make sure, leaders, to keep your leads clear. And if you need to do a basic in between, do the basic. So that way she knows exactly what you're doing, and you feel confident in what lead you're doing, and not doing some other thing rushed afterwards. And that's it.
Alright. So that was the video on the ladies' turns. Next video we're going to do the men's turns, because the ladies shouldn't have all the fun. And then we're going to put them together and show you how some combinations look like.
Excellent. All right.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.